Joining me, Jack Berkman, Republican strategist and host of Behind the Curtain with Jack Berkman. Catch him every Saturday night on the Radio America Network and Sunday afternoons at 2 on WMAL and Metro DC. Also, Robert Weiner, National Democratic strategist and president of Robert Weiner Associates. He served as the Director of Public Affairs for the White House Office of National Drug Policy under President Bill Clinton. Well, let's open with deep divisions in the GOP electorate. Presidential hopeful Ben Carson is threatening to leave the Republican Party. This after talk of a brokered national convention. Jack, what does that mean? Is he going to break the convention?
Oh, it's funny, Morris. No, I think it's we have so much news this week you can't even fit it into one broadcast. I think it's almost silly. There's no chance of a brokered convention at all. A brokered convention is a situation where you have two candidates maybe by July or August that are 50 or 100 delegates apart, and party leaders have to resolve something that just can't be resolved by the primary system. That's not what's happening now. Trump is so far ahead, he essentially will be the nominee if this trend continues as early as the end of February, maybe even the middle of March, certainly no later than the end of March. The Washington Post started this nonsense on Monday with this story. I don't think the people at the Post writing this story understand what a brokered convention is.
Carson isn't the only Republican, though, to suggest an independent bid. Donald Trump dropped this political bomb on Twitter. Yeah. Quote, "A new poll indicates that 68% of my voters would support me if I departed the GOP and ran as an independent." Bob, what do the Democratic candidates think about this? It's got to be a gift for you.
Well, both Carson and Trump. Carson was actually a Me Too because Trump said he'd go independent, so Carson said the same thing, the same as he sort of changed the debate rules to 2 hours in opening and closing statements after Trump did it. Carson is trying to get in, but he's sinking like a rock after he became sort of displayed his schizophrenia from saying when he was 14 he went after friends with a knife and his mother with a hammer, put that in his book for some reason that nobody can understand, and Trump made a thing out of it and attacked him, and Carson has been sinking ever since because nobody wants a Jekyll and Hyde for president of the United States. As far as Trump is concerned, he's got loose lips and it's not funny anymore, as Hillary said. When you talk about Muslims and Hispanics and women and you're dissing them all, you cannot win a general election with that. He can win and will win, in my judgment, the actual primaries, and then they go to winner take all.
Now that's the point, Jack. I mean, you've supported Trump because he's out there, he's getting all these primary votes, but again, when you come to the general election, do you think he's going to get it, Jack?
Well, I think to this point, Morris, he's done brilliantly well politically. He made his first mistake, though, this week, talking about a third-party bid. That will scare Republicans away. Trump is so far in the lead, there's no reason to even talk about that. Everybody knows he could do it if he wanted to. He has independent means. I think it was a mistake to say that. I disagree with Bob quite a bit, and I don't think Trump is really dissing anybody. I think what he's done is he has secured the far right. This is why it's brilliant. He has cornered the market on all far right-wing positions. He's put the other candidates in a box. What does Rubio do if he steps out and criticizes Trump a la Bobby Kennedy or something? He'll be labeled a moderate. He's already blamed for being a moderate. Ted Cruz, what does he say? These guys are all in a box. Trump has trapped them.
Well, meanwhile, Trump says he's postponing a trip to Israel. Weeks ago, he scheduled a meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Then Trump called for a temporary ban on Muslims entering the U.S. We've heard about that. Netanyahu criticized that stance. Now the meeting's off. Jack, Netanyahu is seen as partial to Republicans. Is this a big deal?
Well, the short answer is we don't know yet. I'm not entirely sure why the government of Israel is so afraid. I think they're afraid of some kind of reaction on the West Bank, or they're afraid that if they associate with Trump, there will be some kind of uprising and it'll cause them some problem over there. I think it's a mistake on Netanyahu's part. He's getting far too deeply involved in the micro nature of American politics.
Bob, again, this goes back to the fact that you've got to be sitting back and just watching them devour their own. At least that's, I assume, what the Democrats are thinking at this point.
Yes, and of course Israel and Trump would agree to come up with excuses as to why he couldn't come after he made that statement on Muslims. Israel doesn't want to be in a position of having any ethnic minority disrespected, and that's very important to them. By the way, Jack mentioned Cruz. We can't wait. Now it's a battle between Trump and Cruz, and we can't wait to see if it were Cruz, for example. First you have the Dr. Seuss slide on TV and have him showing that. Then you have him shutting down the government. And then you do a split screen and you show Hillary being very smart on foreign policy and domestic affairs. And that would be the choice.
A Rasmussen poll this week, Morris, shows that 49% of all Democrats, 49% of all Democrats support Trump's bid to stop Muslims, all Muslims, from coming into the country. So leaving aside the substantive debate on that issue, that's Bob's party. 49% of them support that.
So you're for that, Jack? You're for stopping all Muslims from coming into the United States?
I am not for that, but I think I am not. No, but I think it is Trump is calling attention to a problem that needs attention.
Yes.
I am for stopping anyone with a radical Islamic affiliation, and I'm also for keeping track of anyone with any kind of a radical Muslim affiliation.
All right, before we move on from Trump, I'd like to briefly address a conspiracy theory floating around Washington. Jeb Bush and others have suggested Trump isn't trying to win the presidency at all, that he's some kind of secret agent for Hillary Clinton. Is there a nugget of truth somewhere in there, Bob?
You know, Hillary and Trump's kids, Bill and Hillary and Trump's kids, are closest friends.
Right, and there's talk that Bill Clinton suggested that Trump run.
And I'm sure that in the joke conversations that happened. So, you know, all the people that suggested to Hillary that she run for president back, 8 years ago, there's no conspiracy. That's called conversations. It's a free country. Just like, by the way, when Ken Starr went after me because I said that Lewinsky's tapes were illegal, the Tripp's tapes were illegal of Lewinsky. That's not a conspiracy. That was free speech to my friends, and Ken Starr thought it was a conspiracy. Republicans are big conspiracy theorists. This is no conspiracy.
Well, it makes for good TV, certainly. Meanwhile, Jeb Bush and the PACs that support him are burning through money on TV ads like this one.
When the attacks come here, the person behind this desk will have to protect your family. Will he be impulsive and reckless like Donald Trump? Will he have voted to dramatically weaken counterterrorism surveillance like Ted Cruz? Will he have skipped crucial national security hearings and votes just to campaign like Marco Rubio?
Very effective. Bush spent nearly $30 million on TV ads, but he's still polling in the low single digits. Is it time to pack it in? Maybe Bush should throw his support and money behind someone else. Jack?
I think Bush has become a non-factor, Morris. I think he's clearly relegated to being a non-factor. The electorate has already, the Republican base has already made up their mind about Jeb Bush. I mean, they see him as a moderate. They see him as being a poor communicator. If you said what are the three things Jeb Bush stands for in this race, I don't think anybody here could answer that question. I certainly couldn't. You could answer it for Trump. You could answer it for Cruz. You could probably even answer it for Rubio. But Bush, I don't think a chance.
Bob, you got any advice for Jeb Bush? Should he pack it in or stay?
Well, 133 to 1, he has outspent Trump, and he's at 3 to 5% in the polls. So the problem isn't his money, it's not his PACs, it's not his ads, it's him. He puts people to sleep. He has no charisma. Trump is absolutely right that Bush has no energy. The next news conference that's going to happen is going to be Jeb withdrawing and saying that it's time for others. It's not his time.
Very interesting. All right, let's move on to Congress. The Washington Post landed an exclusive interview with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. They talked about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's a massive trade deal brokered by President Obama that's taking a lot of heat, mostly from the left. McConnell dealt the TPA a huge blow. He says it should be tabled until after the election. Bob, what's going on here?
When Hillary came out against the TPP, it really ended it as a chance for the Democrats, and she did it because of the labor union problems, that it actually will cost American jobs, the fact of environment, and the fact that you're supporting foreign companies, not American companies, by the TPP. So what do we get out of it? And in a way, it's a little surprising. I was personally surprised when I saw that story in the Washington Post today, because Clinton was successful getting NAFTA with a majority of Republicans and a minority of Democrats, and I thought that this would happen the same way.
I mean,
but it's become impossible.
I support TPP. Imagine if we didn't have NAFTA, U.S. GDP would probably be 10 to 12% or even more, less than it is today. Here's the politics of it, Morris. With these trade deals, especially this one, far left and far right unite. It's the strangest stuff you'd ever see. The reason McConnell is under such pressure is he's got conservatives in the Senate, guys like Cruz and Rubio and others, who are putting pressure. He probably has 10 or 12 of these people putting pressure on him, saying, don't do this, don't do this. The far right doesn't want it, so he's backing away from it.
All right, before we go, let's talk about Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. In 2009, Bergdahl walked off his base in Afghanistan. The Taliban captured him and held him for 5 years. In 2014, President Obama swapped Guantanamo detainees for his release. That deal sparked debate on Capitol Hill. Now the podcast serial will spark even more debate. What's at stake here, Bob?
Well, to me, it's ultimate hypocrisy when Kelly Ayotte, and who's got a race of her own, so she better be honest, and all the Republican chairs of House Intelligence, Foreign Affairs sent letters to Obama and asked him, please do everything you can, those are the direct words, do everything you can to free Bo Bergdahl. Then the minute he's freed, oops, you shouldn't have done it. So to me, it's just a matter of hypocrisy. And by the way, you mentioned Gitmo. You know, the guy at Gitmo, Jeff Miller, the general, was sent to Abu Ghraib to Gitmoize Abu Ghraib, and he used the same torture technique. So really, one thing that should happen is the closing of Gitmo. It's a horrible message to the rest of the world, and Obama's tried to do it, and the Republicans won't let him.
Jack, is this an embarrassment for all this, for this whole podcast and Bergdahl to come back? It's kind of embarrassing, don't you think, for Obama?
Oh, you're so right. No question, Morris. The confusing thing about Bergdahl, if you remember, why did Obama give up 5 big-time terrorists, 5 al-Qaeda leaders to get back a guy who's essentially a foot soldier? We didn't do this for a general. Obama would never have done this. Now, why did he do it? We believe he did it. I think the right thinks he did this because Bergdahl was about to spill the beans on something, and Obama didn't want that said.
Now, there's your conspiracy theory.
Absolutely.
What would he know? He was just a rank and file troop guy. What would he know?
You know,
we don't know.
Secret sauce in the I don't know.
Israel gives up 200 to 1 to get a prisoner back. So you do the right thing to get your people back. And what Bergdahl was going to spill was the fact that there were discipline problems in his platoon and that he was harassed mentally, and they caused him to do that walk away. So that's why he's actually not being prosecuted and he's not going to jail. They've already announced that.
If we give up 5 al-Qaeda leaders every time we have to get back a sergeant, this country is going to be in a lot of trouble.
All right, folks, that's a wrap. Jack Berkman, Republican strategist. Bob Weiner, Democratic strategist, the best political panel on TV. Thanks to you both.
Thank you, Morris. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks very much, Morris and Jack.